Well, jeepers! You're listening to Smash or Pass with JayBee, Millie, and Smash!
So in today's episode, we are going to be reacting to Scooby Doo Curse of the Speed Demon. Now, I feel like common theme as always. First watch through for JayBee and I, right?
Yeah, I've never seen any clips from this before, whereas with the last WWE one, I'd at least seen John Cena saving them from a boulder. With this, completely fresh.
And Smash, what about you? Is it fair to say you'd seen this one before?
I have seen this one way more times than I really should admit because one of my nephews absolutely loves this one. And so like whenever I'm watching him or we're together, he's like, "Let's watch the Monster Truck movie." And I'm just like, okay. So I've seen this one plenty of times.
Okay, so for those that are like JayBee and I that hadn't seen it before or haven't seen it for a while, the basic kind of plot here is that WWE of wrestling are holding an event that's kind of like a racing event. It's closely linked in with the last one in that I believe Scooby and Shaggy had been invited back to kind of run a food truck. And also they end up participating in the races. There's like a series of races, each one determining who gets kind of like the head start in the next. And as the races take place, there is the chaos of Inferno, who's the demon that tries to kind of disrupt the races, almost put a stop to them. It certainly comes across like they don't want them to happen. So yeah, I guess that's kind of the basic plot. Anything you'd add to that, JayBee?
No, I guess just it sort of reminds me of the Tom and Jerry movie with the fabulous super race, but I'm alright, I'm happy.
Okay, good. So, this movie gets straight into the titles. There's no, like, cold opening or anything. So, do you have any thoughts on the titles, JayBee?
I thought it was really, really interesting how it introduced the characters' names as opposed to, the voice actors and actresses. So, you'd get Daphne Blake as opposed to Grey DeLisle or Grey Griffin. And I don't know, there seems to be lots of legitimate WWE guests, which is kind of cool to see, but at the same time, I kind of thought that the titles, like the song wasn't really captivating for me, and I didn't know any of the wrestlers, so again, it was just kind of like, it was fine, yeah.
I mean, slight different take on the titles for me. I mean, I thought they were okay. The music was fine, the titles are good. And what struck me is because I do know a bit about wrestling, like my brother and like nephews and things love it, is that I was instantly a bit like, oh wow, they got a lot of high profile wrestlers here, like this is actually quite impressive. So that was like my first reaction, was just, oh wow, if they've actually got all these people, that's
I think they should have brought that AJ Lee back, I think. That's my kind of take of it.
What's your take on the titles, Smash?
I remember this song a lot more than like other intros to Scooby Doo movies. I mean, it might just be because I've watched this movie too many times, but this one can kind of get in my head a bit if I really think about it, or if I hear it, it'll be in my head for a minute. But overall, like the visuals and stuff, I'm just not like super impressed with it. It's just, and it is kind of weird that they introduced the characters as themselves instead of the voice actors and actresses. And I do like find it a little like, it was a little off-putting that happened before anything in the movie. It was like we just jumped into them. So overall, it was just a different feeling for opening credits of Scooby Doo.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that it is certainly quite different and interesting, might be a good word. It's different and interesting. So once the titles are finished, we head straight over to the Muscle Moto X Off-Road Challenge.
The Muscle Moto X?
I think that's what it's called, right?
I just called it the Fabulous Super Race.
And
Good job.
We're starting off with a different dynamic with Shaggy and Scooby though, because they're at work. I think it's different to see them working, right? Like, I saw a joke that like they're all rich teenagers because they always seem to be able to afford to do anything and never work. So,
well, as far as I'm aware, actually, now that you mention that, I think it's the first time since possibly, like say Zombie Island, where we've seen Shaggy and Scooby getting a job in these director TV, the director DVD movies that we've covered so far. Maybe there was one or two others, but it's weird because this actually ties quite closely to the canon of the first WWE movie. But then it's kind of like, I don't get where it would fit in, because clearly it takes place after that, but then it's like they're just working there. I don't know. It's an interesting opening, but
one thing I was gonna say is it actually has quite a close link. Like I feel like a lot of the Scooby movies don't always link so well, whereas I think is it Vince McMahon, I want to say, kind of brings that link. They're in the food truck and he's almost like, oh yeah, so I invited you back for this.
yeah, and there's more that we'll discuss, I guess, a bit later on. But
I was gonna say also to use like Shaggy and Scooby's wrestling names again.
yeah,
Was again just carrying on that continuity.
And I think someone says, "Oh yeah, you're the guys that defeated the Demon Bear or the Ghost Bear or something." So that was also interesting. Where it's meant to fit in, I don't know, and I'm not feeling the movie this much so far, because I think that for all I was dreading the first WWE movie so much, it started with something, I guess, that I enjoy or that I can understand, which is video games and gaming.
Yeah.
Because, primarily at the start, they're just playing a fighter. Like, you could almost say, oh, I guess they're playing Smash Bros. Ultimate type thing, which I can ultimately relate to. And now, I don't... Maybe this is just me. I guess it is just me. It depends on what your preference is, but I cannot watch, Formula One racing. I can't drive. I don't like that type of thing. The closest that I would have to that would be playing Mario Kart. And so I'm, you know what I mean? Like, my interest isn't peaked on the wrestling front or the car racing front, so I don't know.
Oh, that's fair. I think it's quite early on that we meet this speed demon as well. Like, I think it's on their first lap round the course. And I think it's fair to say that they're a relatively scary villain.
Yeah.
I mean, I think to look at them, they do have a level of terror to them.
I think it's kind of a broken face type thing, because it's so humanoid, but it also makes it seem like it's a human that's gone through a lot, almost zombie-like.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And I think one thing that can make a villain quite prominent is the damage that they do. Like, sometimes it's just a ghost appearing and it's just like a threat level, do you know what I mean? Whereas when you see them actually doing damage, it's kind of like, okay, this is a bit more real now. And right at the start, they're already like destroying a car, and like, I think, and from even being a passenger, you don't need to drive to know that like a car going quick, if anything happens to it, can cause a lot of damage to the car and the people inside it. So to see like damage done on such a big level to a car straight away, it's kind of like, I want to say, an added threat and makes them a bit more sinister still.
Yeah, I guess that's one thing that you can say for racing, because Scooby is not notorious for like violence or like physical injury, and definitely I don't think it should be. But I think people like to cite Zombie Island, just the fact that Fred gets his shirt torn as a degree of, well, this shows that they are capable of being damaged or affected. And so them being in that kind of, that method of being in a car that's a vehicle, that is another way to show damage. So I think you're very right in saying that, Millie.
So I think when they like all get back and the race kind of settles down, there's a moment that I do like here where like Shaggy's like, please don't say it, please don't say it. And like Fred's like, looks like we've got another mystery. And I kind of like, sometimes I like it when they interact with the kind of almost the satirical things where they repeat themselves a lot, like meddling kids, mystery on our hands, like the kind of key phrases. I kind of like it when they pick up on it, like with the joke about the Scooby snacks in I think the last movie. I like it when they start to pick up on like the traits that we all notice.
Yeah. Now, the main character, at least in terms of the wrestling front that we are presented with so far, is this Undertaker. Now, is the Undertaker, were they in the first WWE Scooby movie? Or I guess what I'm asking is, who is returning?
I'm gonna pass this question over to Smash and see if he knows.
A handful of them did return, like the guy at the beginning that was like, "Who's awesome? I'm awesome." You know, we see him again. Um, I if the Undertaker was in the first one, then he either didn't say anything or it was just kind of like, you know, a semi background character. But since they took John Cena out, I think they gave the Undertaker the spotlight in this movie.
Yeah.
But otherwise, besides the Undertaker, I think all the other ones that we see were in the previous movie.
I'm gonna say Vince McMahon's probably the most notable reappearance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it is legitimately the people, right? Like, they're not like voice imitators or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I like how they've done that quite a bit. And again, like, the last WWE movie surprised me a lot, so I don't know, I'm not hating it so far. I guess my feeling at the moment is I think John Cena was a better main star because I think they're easier to relatable, you know, they're presented as a nice guy with just big muscles, whereas instantly the fact that Shaggy and Scooby are so scared of the Undertaker at first is a bit less easy to connect with them on a character level when the main characters that we're seeing them through are just scared of them.
Yeah. And I think like you were saying kind of more on that. Like John Cena, it was Shaggy and Scooby idolise him, Daphne's in love with him, Fred hates him, and Velma just feels superior. Whereas in this, with the Undertaker, it's like Shaggy and Scooby are scared, and then the other three have been sidelined.
Aww.
Like, they've just been put on the bench for the movie, really.
I guess, though, at this point, for all it doesn't take away from your point, I think I kind of expect that at this stage, you know, it's kind of unfortunate, but I kind of go into these expecting it to be the Shaggy and Scooby show and not the gang.
Okay, so tell me if I'm skipping ahead, but the next thing I've written down is the flashback of the accident.
Where the heck was that? I don't know what I've written. I've written, yeah, so you've seen that, and obviously you mentioned Vince McMahon. So yeah, this is the Demon's history. And very interesting. They've kept the animation style the same, except they've kind of made it almost like a newspaper reel, or what do I want to say, almost like vintage Western movie, where it looks almost tea stained, if that's a correct way of saying things.
Yeah, I guess so. Kind of just that,
Yeah,
like an aged effect to it.
I definitely this movie has it's either like a colorization or some sort of filter over it, but like the animation style seems like the same. It's just like the colors to me are a bit different.
Yeah, and it was dark. It was a lot darker than I was expecting, because like someone dies in a car crash, like no kind of discrepancy about it, and even if it's fabricated or if it's just a legend, we physically see someone just crashing and burning in their car, and I'm like, I was not expecting it to go that far, but it did. And so, because there's the reveal, obviously, that this isn't supernatural, this, like, there's still an unmasking, I'm wondering how much truth there is to this flashback, and if this did genuinely just occur, and then, I guess, like, the villains are just taking advantage of that? I don't know. Like, do you think that this flashback genuinely happened?
I guess, like...
Possibly?
Yeah. I think things can happen and then other things escalate. Like, so say, for example, if one accident happens, then it gets turned into a story, or the place or the road gets a bit of a reputation. Like, just thinking of some examples, there's on the drive between where we live and my parents' house, there's this motorway that my parents nicknamed the Road to Hell, purely because it's been known to have accidents on it. Another one, like, it's renowned for having like strong winds which can like make lorries fall over, so they call it Windy Hill. Like, there's another place near where I used to live growing up called Danger Bank, because it's got these really like sharp like corners and it's all downhill. So like, I just feel like roads, that if there's a certain accident on a road, it can spiral a lot.
Yeah, and I guess that's the case with a lot of Scooby things, like supposedly a house is haunted because old man Frickett lives there and his wife's a bit weird. Or farmer Tom Nook lives on this ranch and he's a weirdo, so it's the haunted ranch. So I wish I was a legend. Maybe one day.
Kind of like just the second that anything happens, it's made into a mystery.
But I think your parents nicknamed that road the road to hell for no reason other than it doesn't have speed cameras.
I mean, yeah, that's one issue.
I don't think an accident's ever actually happened there.
Oh,
it's just crazy. I get sick of it.
So the next thing I've noted is that we meet the producer, and I've literally just put that they're crazy.
Oh yeah, I was very suspicious of this producer because they rock up and they almost try and like frustrate like proceedings. So that McMahon's like, I know you guys, you Mystery Inc. Like, can you please help us? And Fred's like, yeah, sure. And they're just like, oh, so just make sure that you don't damage this because, it's really good for business and it promotes tourism. And I guess that's something that, like, almost like Sheriff Bronson Stone did in Mystery Incorporated, so it's not inherently evil, but this was a bit like, I don't know if it's like, maybe it was too obvious to be them so that they're a clear red herring, but I was very suspicious of them. What were you suspicious of them, Millie?
No, I think, like, I very much fall into the trap with Scooby in that Vince McMahon was the main one I was watching throughout it. Because obviously they just disappear for everything that's happening.
Oh.
So all the time I was like, they're not there, they're not there. Like, I definitely fall into the traps they set.
But would I, do you reckon? Because I don't really think about the traps that they set. I more think almost like I'm watching a detective show, like maybe a bit too seriously, but I'm like, okay, so maybe this is too obvious, or maybe this could be them. I'm almost like mapping out a list of potential suspects in my mind, and it's embarrassing because I guess it's aimed at children, but I can never figure it out. I think only on like 1 or 2 occasions have I called the villain early on, and this definitely wasn't those occasions because I didn't know by the end of this. I was almost thinking, I think everyone in this movie at one point was one of my suspects. So I think this is a movie more than many.
I think the person who it is, I didn't suspect at all.
But if you think about it, it's very, very similar to the Moon Monster Madness reveal. But I guess we'll get onto that. It's just it's almost like Moon Monster Madness, but I don't care about it as much. That's kind of my angle.
Okay, so the next thing I've got noted down is that we meet the Undertaker, and obviously Shaggy and Scooby are terrified. I wanted to note that I kind of like, in terms of the respect that I have for things they've done well, I think they adapt some of the wrestlers' looks quite well. Like, I guess you couldn't really get it wrong, but it was distinctly the Undertaker. Same with Triple H. Like, there were certain features and things that were, like, distinctive.
Yeah, I guess I don't really know what the wrestlers look like, so I didn't really have that to go off. But I like the dynamic a lot. I think it's fun. Now, in terms of this wrestling kind of race car thing, is that something that happens in real life? Is that something that the WWE have been known to do, or is this just fabricated for this plot line?
I'm not sure if Smash knows, but it's certainly something that I've never heard of, and like, I've been around wrestling a lot. I know that there's some things where, like, wrestlers have cars. Some cars have links to certain wrestlers. Like, there's a wrestler called Sting, I think, that has a distinctive car.
Is it the Stingmobile?
My brother used to collect stuff, and I'm sure he had, like, this car that was for Sting, but I think that's more in terms of, like, their entrances and their persona than an actual event.
Do you know if this happens in real life, Smash?
No, this was completely made up for the movie.
So this is a bit whack. I don't know how to feel about that. I guess it's not really like the first wrestling movie where you can almost get invested either from a Scooby perspective or a wrestling perspective. You just kind of need to be into both at the same time, I feel.
You just have to be already on the kind of journey with Scooby to... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just part of the Scooby journey. It's not out of an additional interest.
Yeah.
One thing that I'll say as well about this event is I don't get what the rules are. Because The Undertaker needs a new partner, right? But, like, how many people does he have to have? Because he ends up with a team of 3. The main car, which is it Stephanie McMahon and Triple H? There's only 2 of them, but there's 3 of the others, like, in a lot of the others. So I'm like, then, like, at the end, all of Mystery Inc. are like, yeah, let's just climb in, it's fine, don't worry about it. Which, obviously, the additional weight would slow you down if it was a race. I just don't get what they're trying to achieve.
No, it's a bit... It was all over the place. And I'm really not too engaged at this point, in all honesty. I don't know, I think maybe this is everything that I feared the first WWE movie would be. I'm sure it's good for WWE fans, and it may be even good for, like, the really hardcore Scooby fans that just like everything that the franchise does. But I don't know, I'm kind of waiting for something to happen. I don't quite know what it is. I don't know if it's, you know, the monster interacting more things, or if it's more suspects coming to light. But I don't know, I'm not such a happy chappy at this point in the film.
No, I can see what you mean. I think there's a lot they could do differently. Perhaps instead of doing like 3 or 4 different races, they could have just focused in on the one, have little landmarks that they have to reach, all that kind of thing, as opposed to just, okay, we're going to do a race, we're going to do another one, we're going to do another one, we're going to do another one. Here's the demon, here's the demon, here's the demon, here's the demon.
Yeah, it was very repetitive, like rinse and repeat, like the kind of character interlude for like a 5-10 minute segment. 5-10 minute segment of the race. The first 5 minutes normal, the demon shows up and starts smashing into people. The race is over.
Oh, don't forget.
Someone asks where McMahon is, and then it all happens over and over and over again until they're finally like, okay, let's all just team up Avengers style and beat up the monster.
No, you're right. It's like, okay, let's do a race. Here's the speed demon. Here's the finish line. Here's Daphne complimenting Stephanie, and then let's do it all over again and again. It's very, very repetitive. So then in the next part, Fred decides to stay up all night and turns the food truck into the Scoobinator, so that the Undertaker and Scooby and Shaggy have the car to race in.
See, this is interesting because I'm almost thinking I'm jumping the gun, and I can't tell just looking at the visual if it shows this, that I think it does actually. But I was actually not expecting them to modify the food truck. I was expecting the Mystery Machine as early as this.
Yeah, me too.
So I was a bit disappointed that it wasn't, but also I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's, I guess, somewhat creative.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
I don't think Fred would really be happy with the Mystery Machine being in such danger. But it ends up there anyway, so I don't know what to think anymore.
So then the little Scoobinator is going to hit the track for the first time. And of course, like we said, in that repetitive cycle, they're doing the race and the demon car comes back. Now, like, I think talking about that level of threat that we mentioned before, that is quite high here in that, like, they physically set fire to a bridge. Cars drive through that bridge and then the cars are set on fire with the people in it. I do think that the level's quite high on this. You can tell me that I've been, like, a bit over the top, but I do think that it is a level up from some Scooby stuff.
I think they could have made it more so, though. I think that they cut away from the races almost too frequently, and it's literally just for the purpose, even on one instance, of showing that Daphne is cheering for Stephanie and not Shaggy and Scooby, and Velma's kind of getting annoyed at that. And I forget the character's name, but I mentioned this. It is exactly like Moon Monster Madness, where Daphne meets someone, they bond over something like hair or nails or whatever, and then they're like
Best
kind
friends.
of obsessed with each other. Well, Velma's like, oh, yeah, big whoop, she can turn a wheel, or oh wow, she can drive, that's great, isn't it? Who cares? It's like, why do they need to do that? There's just no need for that to happen. And instantly it's just kind of like, well, either they're going to repeat Moon Monster Madness, which I don't even think that was 2-3 movies ago at this point, so they're like recycling things quite regularly.
I'd say
and
if
it's
they
not
don't
good.
have Fred flirting with a girl or Daphne flirting with a guy, then they just, like, pass her off as a girl's best friend. Like, let's talk about getting our nails done together. Let's talk about getting our hair done together. oh, I love your shoes, where'd you bag from? It's all very like giggly and girly.
But there was a purpose in Moon Monster Madness, because you got some Velma development where she's like, well, if I'm not the smart one, then who am I? Like, what value can I bring to the team if you're better at being me than I am? And with this, it's just nothing. You know, I guess later on, Daphne kind of gets told that her dad's a bit of a pother, a bit of a loser, and then Daphne just goes back and is like, "Oh, Velma, don't worry, you're still my best friend." And Velma just go, "Oh, okay, that's good."
Yeah, I don't want to be now. I'm sick of it. Come on.
That's where that whole storyline is going.
Doing this.
She's all Team Stephanie until it's, "Oh, I think my dad's got more money than yours." Oh, okay. F it then. Hey, Velma, how are you?
Okay, so we're going to go on to learn a little bit more about the demon. So the drones and the cameras can't get near to it. We also see that Fred's added some functionality to the Scoobinator in that it's got that kind of boosting functionality where it can go quite quickly.
Yeah, nitro speed, turbo speed. And this saves them from that burning bridge. Which is cool. And ultimately the Scoobinator goes on to get second place in this race. And I call this I've written the Authority. I don't know where I got that from. But ultimately, Stephanie McMahon's team wins. I think
the company car, they call it, don't they?
And they're with Triple H, aren't they?
Yes, Stephanie McMahon and Triple H.
So, is this Stephanie McMahon and this Triple H? Are they?
This is the married. I think.
Are they a jiggying couple in real life?
It said the marriage, so I'm gonna assume that's correct. I may be wrong.
Do you know Smash?
I don't know, actually. That is a really good question.
It just saying the thing that they're married, so I'm gonna say that that's true. I mean, alongside wrestling, they do. I don't want to say this impolitely. They do, because I don't mean it impolitely either. They do have like behind the scenes kind of argumentative stuff, training stuff. Like, I do know that a lot of them are quite closely knit and married and stuff like that, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was the
I was just gonna say, the thing that would worry me about that is they had a lot of scenes together, and it didn't feel like there was much chemistry at all between them. Like, obviously, if it was maybe a live action movie, they could have portrayed that a lot better than just being in a recording booth together, or just their like disjoined voices. But I just wasn't feeling any vibe from them apart from your standard stock Scooby characters, which for guest stars was a bit of a shame.
I would excuse that in saying that Stephanie McMahon, from everything I've heard and seen outside of this as well, is supposed to be like the business front of WWE and wrestling and stuff. So I'm going to say, and I think you can agree with this, perhaps JayBee, that quite often if a couple has a business investment as well, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think you can often, like, see that there's sometimes that almost a professionalism divide.
One of them's like the big cheese or like the head kahuna, and the other one's almost a support unit, which I think... So maybe then Stephanie McMahon is the kind of businesswoman,
and she's the daughter of Vince McMahon, who is like the main one.
Yeah.
And then obviously Triple H is a renowned wrestler who I guess is married into the kind of McMahon setting. I'm probably saying some like slanderous comments and my brother's gonna watch this and get really angry.
I just looked it up, and her and Triple H are married.
Ooh, so did my guy make moves on the boss's daughter for a bit of a business thing there?
It says they got married in 2003.
Well played. That's good. That's good work. That is. I like that a lot.
Gosh. Okay, so moving back over to Scooby as opposed to wrestling. We get that kind of iconic scene that we see quite frequently where Shaggy and Scooby are wanting to have some snacks at night, kind of midnight feast, all that kind of thing. And they see what looks like Inferno sabotaging some of the vehicles.
It was actually freaky, this. A part of this actually got to me in terms of scare factor. I don't know why.
It's that easy to tamper with a car. Like, it can be parked there. And
simply just that they look out and they're there in costume with no intent to scare someone. Like, it's almost like saying if you want to let someone know that you've got a boatload of money, rock up to the most expensive, hotel wearing jogger bottoms and a hoodie type thing. You know what I mean? It was almost like if you want to let people know you're scary and frightening, just do it in a normal setting. And so to see them in their kind of zombie costume, just being creepy with no knowledge that someone's watching them. I don't know why. Maybe it was just the time of night, or maybe I was just feeling particularly fearful. But it actually frightened me a bit, and I don't remember a time I've been genuinely scared by Scooby Doo since maybe first time watching Zombie Island.
Yeah, I can see that. And also kind of when they're doing that, they get in a fight with the Who's Awesome, I'm Awesome person.
Oh, and that was really good.
This was the part of the movie I enjoyed the most, just that little callback to the first one, because I did enjoy the first one.
And I actually didn't know that, I didn't even realise that it was someone that I was in this movie before. I literally thought that they'd brought back the kind of random voice that did it in the first WWE movie to have that character progression of, okay, the ghost bear kind of smashed me before, but now I'm gonna like become Shang-Chi and start like busting up this zombie.
Something else that confuses me about that kind of nighttime thing, why is Fred sharing a room with the Undertaker?
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get why. Like, surely the Undertaker's this huge celebrity. It's $1 million event that they're doing. They could have at least given him his own hotel room.
Maybe they enjoyed the company of each other. You never know. Like, if I was in this situation and if I was a billionaire, but I could share a room with a member of the gang, I think I wouldn't say no. Depending on the member of the gang.
Anyone but Daphne. Only Daphne then.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, well, I think
Right.
Scooby would be fun,
so
right?
then again we're doing that repetitive thing where we move on, not just JayBee being repetitive with Daphne. We move on to that repetitive
It's
thing
my
with
shtick.
the next race. This is one where they like involve water, which again I find
They involve water.
No, the race involves water and I find it okay, so
I thought you were like, don't bring me into this.
No, like the town that I'm from used to get really bad flooding, and there was this thing where a lot of the people in the town were really stupid, and they decided it was a good idea to try and drive through the water just because it looks fun. So you've got the harbour flooding over, and these people are like, okay, let's drive through the water, it's going to be great, but the water's that high, it gets in the engine, the car breaks down in the water, and it's just a mess. So, like, to see a car driving into water after seeing that, it's a bit stupid.
It's because, like, 80% of the population there, though, are just simple farmers.
And then, like, some life, like, float thing manages to keep an entire, like, huge truck up.
Oh, yeah, but you've got, like, stuff like that in real life, too. So, like, even something simple like duck tours. There's duck
Yeah,
tour
but
buses.
the duck tours are specifically built to do that.
But if this is a fabulous super race type scenario, and you've never seen that, have you? I don't think have either of you seen that movie?
What?
Tom and Jerry, is it called the Fast and the Furious? I don't know what it's called.
The Fast and the
Yeah.
Furious, I've not seen it.
Oh, the Fast and the Furious. Well, I guess because if they know that this is going to be modified to be off-road and that there's extreme conditions, the best cars would prepare for any type of instance.
But surely it wouldn't work if the cars were as big as they are.
Why not?
The cars are huge. Like, think about that one that's like, what was it we called it? Sorry, the Stephanie McMahon one. It was like the boss car or something.
Yeah, it's like the company car.
Company car, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's huge. Like, if it was going to be one that had to fly. See, this is, I'm sorry. This is like where I bring logic into stuff where I don't need to. Firstly, like I said before, you wouldn't have the entire gang in the car because all that weight would bring it down, which is why, like, quite often when you, like, watch racing and stuff, you tend to see that they're lighter people because it's additional weight which makes the car slower.
Hear me out, though.
So, like, again, logic kind of coming into effect here. I don't see why the cars are so big because it's additional weight that they don't need, which is going to make the car slower. To have them floating, again, why would the cars be so big? It's additional weight that's going to drag it down. And I don't see why they have to have 3 passengers. Again, additional weight is going to slow it down.
The thing is, though, this is a cartoon, right? And with a cartoon, you can do so many cool, wacky things with it that if it was just standard vanilla racing, this, you know, car going around a track, I think it would be a wasted medium. In animation, if it was just that, I would say that would be a very lazy attempt at a movie, even if it is just direct to DVD. Whereas in animation, I'm almost on the opposite side of you. Like, I kind of wish that there was more to it. Like, there's nothing to stop the animators from saying, okay, now race 2 is going to be where, like, the car should be properly modified to almost race in the air. Like, you know what I mean? I just wish that if they're going to do so many races, let's just make all of them seem different. So you can have a road race, a water race, and maybe an air race, or whatever they want to do with it.
They have boats and aeroplanes for that.
No, but this is modified. They're going to do cool stuff with it, and that's what I like. That's what I enjoyed. And so when they were going in the water, that was almost the first time that I was like, I perked up and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. I almost think that they don't do enough with it, but I like it. It's a worthy inclusion. And if it wasn't for the water stuff, I may very well have fallen asleep in the movie. I've been snoring aggressively.
Don't look at me like that. I wasn't snoring. I just fell asleep. Okay, so on this lap that they're also fighting Triple H. The demons also fighting Triple H. So yeah, that's just is what it is. It's Triple H's like iconic wrestling outfit. My brother used to have a wrestler where he's wearing that kind of the brief things on it. Yeah.
Are they like Speedos?
I don't know what they are.
Oh.
So something else that is maybe worth noting is the presenter that keeps flying around on that drone. You compared them to, what was it, the Green Goblin?
Yeah, I thought it was like the Green Goblin. And again, no spoiler or anything, but you know the Green Goblin, they're on a glider. And, oh, that's interesting. I used to... okay, this is off topic, but I like Green Goblin so much back in the first Spider-Man movie that there was a big bin that my parents used to have that had a round base, and I'd always get into it for pretending to be the Green Goblin and like just balancing on it, and that's my thing. So my end point is this guy was my favorite guy in the movie because I loved the glider that they had, and it wasn't even a glider specifically. They were just on a big drone essentially. I don't quite remember how they propped themselves up.
It's just that they were skateboarding in the air. They were flying, and they were just leaning in the direction they wanted to go.
And I did like that a lot because, again, like I'm saying, this is meant to be an extreme animated wacky race, so it makes sense that the kind of point of view of it would be versatile in that respect as well. I just feel that at their worst, though, they're almost a bit too complacent. Like, obviously they find out that they can't get too close to the monster, but at the same time I kind of wish that one of the breaks between races, instead of just more character building, it wasn't even character building, it was just rinse and repeat, there was a kind of thing of, let's look into this, maybe let's try and upgrade this thing for the next time.
Yeah.
Or maybe let's have them on the land trying something.
Yeah.
That was my kind of thing, just the fact that they didn't learn from their mistakes.
Okay, so the next thing is that the Undertaker's a bit like, oh, why isn't the demon kind of coming after me? I'm just going to get its attention. At this point, I started to suspect the person that the Undertaker was initially working with. Maybe it was like they were backing them to win. Maybe they'd benefit from the prize money or something. That kind of went through my head. But ultimately, it ends up with them taking the wrong turn and almost going over the waterfall. What's it called? The Scoobinator. The Scoobinator starts to sink, and they're rescued by a string of sausages, which kind of took me back to the 2002 movie. You know, because they have those like plastic strings of sausages in there that are like ridiculously strong, and they have to like eat through them. I'm gonna say that it must be like that level of like string of sausages to support the weight of two people, one of which is a huge wrestler and the dog.
Can I ask you a stupid question?
Yes.
Are they real?
A string of sausages?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I've never ever seen one. On my 25 or so years on this planet, I've never seen them.
When we go and see my dad, I'll get him to make sausages, and you'll see that's how you make them. Like you have like sausage skins, and then you have a machine that like puts the meat into them, and then when it gets to a certain length, you just twist it, because that's the end of the first one, and the string, the like outside just continues, and so every time you've got like the right side, you just twist it, and then it ends up as this like long string.
Huh. I actually would be curious to see, because I've seen it in the animation and stuff so much, and it's just been the type of thing like tripping on a banana skin. Like, I guess I get the
Or like
logic,
standing
but
on a rake and it comes up and hits your nose.
I've actually
Yeah.
tried that though. Not well, yeah. I was a stupid kid. I'm a stupid adult, but I digress.
Oh gosh.
So where are we now? Have we found out the part where Daphne said that she's got a thing for spandex?
I don't think so, no. Just keep it in your head. We're getting to the part where they're trying to like narrow down the suspects, and they basically turn around to Vince McMahon and say, okay, we're suspicious of you. And he's like, I run all of WWE, I've got so much going on, and I need to go now, and I know it looks suspicious, but it's not.
See, that took me back to the 2002 movie where like Mr. Monteverius was like, oh, who are the suspects? And then Fred's just like, there's this person, and then you. And they're like, me? I'm a suspect?
I'm a suspect?
Like, yeah, it's just because you freaked me out. But he was being very suspicious.
Yeah, I suspected him all the way through, but like I said, I was just being a bit basic with that.
You freak me out, Miller.
So not only are they trying to narrow down the suspects, but also the Scoobinator is like underwater, it's gone. So Fred needs to get on board with making them a new vehicle so the Undertaker can compete, because he's kind of talking about his motives and how he wants to help out his fans and do all this kind of stuff. So he gets every like sympathy votes and everyone's on board, and they convert the Mystery Machine into the third car for Team Undertaker.
Is that in the right order? Probably.
What I've got in my notes, I may be a bit off.
No, so now I've got a modified Mystery Machine, and I love it when the Mystery Machine's kind of core design is changed. So going even back to like recent stuff, like Sword on the Scoob, I love it that they've got like kind of medieval Mystery Machine thing. I love the design of the Mystery Machine monster truck type thing here. I only wish that this was cynical Hollywood or cynical movie making, in the fact that all of these different designs would be made into toys, and they don't seem to do it.
I think everyone's just gonna think I'm gonna be really bad tempered today, because I'm just been negative about everything. But like, I just thought the design looked pretty poor.
I like
it looked almost like they had a base and they airlifted the Mystery Machine on top of it. Like, I like it with things like, you know, in the last movie where we had the plane and it had the Mystery Machine flowers painted on the side of it. I like it when there's a vehicle with a nod to the Mystery Machine. So they do something but paint it like the Mystery Machine. Whereas this, it literally looked like there was a base and they just picked up the Mystery Machine and dropped it on it.
But it was a bit like those cars. Like, again, I'm saying this should be a wacky race, and it reminded me of the cars from Spy Kids 3. You know, that kind of race.
Oh, yeah,
sequence.
true.
Yeah, I see that.
And I like, especially like when they're getting into stuff like the kind of add-ons, like the Demon Truck Scorpion. Like, I was really enjoying those.
That
sequences.
reminded me of, you know, the episode of Sidemen we watched recently where they did the robot wars, and there was the thing on the back, the axe on the back that just like...
I was addicted to watching Robot Wars back in the day.
Me of that.
And Scary Sleepover and Horrid Henry. That was my jam as a kid. And I think that's why I never had many lovely ladies wanting to speak to me. Until I got to 17, obviously, and then I was a machine.
17, of course.
Well, you know what I mean? Like, that's long in the distance. That was like, I'm now 5 stone heavier and 8 stone dorkier.
Okay, so we're now on to the final round of rinse and repeat as they're heading into the final race. So, Stephanie McMahon and Triple H refuse the extra time that they get because everyone starts to accuse them, like, oh, isn't it strange that the demons appeared twice, you've won twice? And so they're like, fine, then we'll do it without the extra time. And yeah, the last kind of race happens. I don't know if you've got any points on the last race, JayBee?
I did have something to say, and admittedly, I've kind of forgotten it. I guess, you know, you've got them kind of winning again. I think it's interesting that so many people try and actively fight the monster. Like, say, you've got The Undertaker that's trying to fight the monster throughout the end race, and they all lose no matter what. I
mean, this might be... This sounds so bad-tempered today, I do. But, like, I'm gonna say it's a little bit of a bad message when they're like driving along and they're like, oh, I'm just gonna text this person. I'm driving, I'm just gonna text this person. Car behind, great, I'm driving too, let's just text this person. It's like, okay.
So that seems like the most Karen thing that you could have said, but I'm actually kind of not disagreeing with you.
No, I think I just must be in a bad mood today.
What do you reckon it is?
I'm pulling the entire thing apart.
Do you reckon it's because you've tired yourself out?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
I have been, to be fair to me, like, I've been awake since 5 a.m. It's nearly 1 a.m. the next day, so I'm about nearly at my 20 hours now.
Well,
so I'm bad-tempered on that basis.
Why do you cry about it then?
I am doing, believe me.
Well, okay.
It hurts.
What I was going to say before I admittedly got confused, well, I've got the biggest, like, I don't know what to call it. I've got the biggest soft spot for the Mystery Machines colour palette, to the point where I love Funko Pops, but the one Funko Pop that I don't like collecting for is the art series. But that Scooby Doo Funko Pop with the Mystery Machine colours looks so good. If I had the chance to tomorrow, I'd buy 10 of them and I'd just cuddle them at night. I love them. And so maybe I'm a bit biased on my design of this Monster Truck Mystery Machine, but I love it. Really.
Have you gotten that Funko yet?
He's reserved it with somebody. So he saw like a listing of like 15 Scooby Doo Funkos and decided to message the person like, oh, I want them all and I'll just buy like 2 every payday. Okay.
Yeah, but this guy, he's a really, really nice guy, right? I think he sold me a lot of things at a very fair price. But I went into that deal with the knowledge that the Creeper was worth £100. And I'm now finding out that it might be worth £135. So I don't know what I'm going to do.
No.
I think I might wind myself up in a bit of trouble. But I think it's all in the name of fun, right? Ultimately.
Oh, God. Okay, so are there any other thoughts on the final race?
Mudkip. No. At this point, oh, well, I guess it's interesting that they do bring back a plot point that was mentioned before, in that Shaggy and Scooby are able to almost win the race by memorizing the track because it's the same track as the pretzel. It's the same kind of shape.
I'm going to say that when you eat, you don't think about the shape of your food. Like, if I want to eat mashed potato, I'm not going to care if it's piled in a heap, if it's shaped into a star or a spiral. If I have, like, chips or crisps or whatever and they're cut into a particular shape, I don't really care. Like, I might notice if it's a curly fry as opposed to, like, a stick fry.
You've never bought animal crackers just for the fun?
Yeah, but then, like, the heads break off them in the bags and stuff. Like, you don't memorise it off by heart. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but this is Shaggy and Scooby.
Shaggy and Scooby,
they might have a different...
No, they're literally hoovers. They don't chew the food. They don't process the food. It's literally just like... and it's all gone. Entire plate of food, an entire restaurant's worth of food, and it's gone just literally in a... So, like, the last thing they're going to do is notice that a pretzel was shaped like a road.
Well...
Specifically a road, too.
Yeah.
That's the first I've heard of it. But let's get to the reveal, because I think I might be almost defending the movie as a result of just because I'm bullying it.
Like, I'm going to argue with it. I need to argue with it.
I don't argue with the quality of the movie. It definitely is down there for me. But I think there's certain things that are kind of being nitpicked that it's kind of like, well, if it wasn't a better Scooby Doo movie, we wouldn't be so like, oh, would Shaggy and Scooby memorize the shape of this? Or we would kind of just go, oh yeah, it's Shaggy and Scooby, they're obsessed with food. I don't know. That's kind of what I want to be in the show sometimes. I want to be a bit of a happy medium.
Okay, so like you say, you want to move on to the unmasking. So, it was...
Oh crap. It is... It is Triple H. They're unmasked on scene, but also Stephanie is the kind of mastermind. They're the big daddy of the show.
I kind of have some issues with it being Triple H. So we have a scene where he's fighting it, And like, granted, they're like, oh well, on some occasions it's robotic because there was interference, but she was driving, so he was controlling it.
Yeah, I think that's an issue that I had, is that for all it is like aimed at kids and obviously adults watch it as well, I don't feel like you could have watched that and like figured it out for yourself. And so in that regard, it wasn't. I mean, you could have, but
Yeah.
I think you could have figured out the who, or at least guessed the who. But I don't, and even maybe the why. But I don't think you could guess the kind of what or how they did it.
Yeah, it's not logical. Like we say, if we're saying that it's Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, he was fighting it, she was driving, he was in control of it.
Which is just
Because it was strong enough to throw him across, so it wasn't like he was faking like the actions and stuff. Like, it physically threw him onto another car, so someone had to be controlling it. It was just a bit of it was bad. Okay, any other points, JayBee, before we go to like our smash or pass verdicts?
I guess we can ask. Well, okay, so we get a situation where that Mr. McMahon was like, oh, I was kind of disappearing, I was being a bit sus because I was practicing the national anthem. And then in the same kind of situation, they were like, and Stephanie was like, I don't want you to get hurt. And then she gets arrested. But then I think they kind of leave a bad taste in the mouth, in that Mr. McMahon's like, oh, you know, she has to learn a lesson, but it'll be resolved in a few hours because we've got the best lawyers. It was kind of just diving too much into the kind of the elite, the kind of big money type vibe where, again, like, Millie doesn't like it when someone's committed a crime and they've done something wrong and they just let off with it. I think it's almost worse that they've kind of used the fact that it's a lot easier to do that if you're rich and famous type of angle as well. I would almost say that's more egregious to me than just them going, oh, Mr. McMahon owns it, so I guess he doesn't press charges.
I think one reason that's more like egregious to you is because of your sister, basically.
No, why
can I say that?
We can say it, but
you talked about us. I'm like,
yeah, but I think it sends the wrong message to children. You were talking about text driving, but it's like, if you're teaching kids at an early age, I guess it's an important message to them, but that the elite just get off with stuff.
Yeah.
It's not the right message.
It's literally like, okay, anyone with enough money can get what they want. Because you can pay for the lawyer that can do it.
And they have, like, kids and family films have leaned into that recently. Like, Incredibles 2 had the exact same thing happen. But it was a cynical message at the time. If there's Violet saying, oh, well, you know, it's too bad that because she's got loads of money, she's going to be let off with it. Whereas here, it's just like a joke. There's not a satisfying ending. It's just, oh, she made a mistake, but she's got loads of money. So, you know, let's get the family lawyers on her. I don't know, it just left me with a bit of a, like an, oh, that was a bit bad.
Smash, what about you? Anything to add before we go to kind of like verdicts?
No, I mean, really, for me, this movie just kind of felt like part of them wanted to do like legit races, and then it also felt like they wanted to do a mixture of like wacky races. And so I just, by the end of this movie, I really just felt like this was I don't know, I forgot about the mystery, and I just kind of, it was just like goofiness all over the place, just, we're going to do this race now in this car, and we're going to do this race now in this car. Oh, we upgraded our car, and oh, the monster destroyed it. We got to make another, I don't know. It just felt like there wasn't a good balance of what they wanted to do in this movie. So I'm just going to leave it at that for now.
Okay, so I guess in case we've not made our like thoughts and things clear enough throughout the episode, we will of course go to the smash or pass verdict. So JayBee, as always, we're starting with you. Scooby Doo and the Curse of the Speed Demon, smash or pass?
Okay, here's the thing. I fancy myself as a bit of an easygoing, fair geezer, right? Like, I don't think there's ever been a movie that I've been too harsh on or too positive on, except with the exception of the fact that I do very much, if we could revise what we were saying, there's only one instance that I regret, and that's I would definitely smash Monster of Mexico, right? I think that's the only stinky that I've made in the entirety of this program or this series. So I do very much want to give all these movies the best chance that they have, and there's a lot that I do like. I enjoy the water race. I like the dynamic of some of the team members, and I enjoy that to an extent. It isn't just about Shaggy and Scooby in the last race, because they do bring Fred into it, who interrupts the car. You know, they kind of figure out the vibe of the drones happening. I just think it's the wrong movie for me personally. I think if I loved WWE or I loved racing, this might be up there with one of my favourites, because I think it appeals to that demographic well, purely for the fact that that's not my demographic and I didn't like it, if that makes any sense. So I don't know. Me personally, I think I'm gonna pass this one, but I don't think I'd watch it again. But I guess, Millie, would you smash or pass this Speed Demon?
Okay, so because I'm feeling very unfiltered and honest today, I think this is awful. I think it's boring. I think it's terrible. I think it's unthought out. I just really didn't like anything about it. There was literally one line that I liked, and I said that was the when Shaggy and Scoob were like, "Oh, don't say it," and like, "Oh, we've got a mystery in our hands." So that's the only good part. Other than that, it was awful. I didn't like it. We put it on. We watched like the first hour and hadn't finished it, and we're like, "Oh, we're just gonna have to leave it till tomorrow." So we only had 20 minutes left, and I managed to fall asleep in that last 20 minutes. Like, it was terrible. I don't like it. It's literally right down there with like Mystery Map. It's the biggest pass ever.
Wait,
Like,
with Mystery Map?
is it called Mystery Map?
No,
The little puppeteering thing?
Yeah, you think this is as bad as that?
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Like, that so far I think is my worst one, and this is down there with it.
You know
I
what?
hated it.
I think there's a massive gap between this and Mystery Map, but in terms of ranking, I don't think I'm disagreeing with you too much.
No, like, it was awful. I'm never ever gonna watch this again. Unless we
Not even with our kids.
do a reunion of Smash or Pass in 50 years, like, hey,
I'm not gonna make 50
let's go
years. What are you
through
on
it
about?
all again. There
Jeez.
is no way that I'm watching this. So yeah, definite pass. So Smash, we know how many times you've seen this one. Is it because you love it so
my
much that it's a
golly.
Smash?
Oh, you know, I don't understand why you guys are hating this one so much. Can't you see the masterpiece that it is?
Oh gosh, we should have brought your nephew onto this just so we had the voice of positivity there.
Right. Right? Oh my gosh, he's 3 years old. He would have been like,
Aww.
monster truck movie. It's great. I mean, there's a monster. Like, but I remember this movie coming out. I knew they were gonna do another one because when the first movie came out, they had already said that they signed an agreement to do at least 2 movies for Scooby Doo, and so it was just a matter of time. And now there's a rumor that a third one's coming at some point. And I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll see if it actually happens. But you know, this was a weird one for a lot of reasons. But like, this was the first Scooby Doo movie that wasn't the Lego one that I first got on Blu-ray. You know, I had just gotten a Blu-ray player for my birthday recently, and so this was like the first Scooby movie I got in HD and whatever, you know. So I was like excited. I was like, yay! First, like, you know, regularly animated Scooby movie, you know, that I get to get a Blu-ray version of and whatever. And also it was the first traditionally animated movie with Kate Micucci doing Velma rather than the Lego one. And you know, so I mean, there was a few reasons to, like, you know, be interested in this one. But as soon as I learned it was racing, I lost interest super fast because I can't do racing shows and movies like the Reluctant Werewolf Scooby Doo movie. If we ever do that one, you already know what I'm gonna say at this point. I can't do it. I just, to me it gets so boring. They're just going around and around and around and around. And, like, I have the original Wacky Races series because I love Hanna-Barbera. I can't get myself to put it in. I'm like, I can't just sit and watch these characters do nothing for 30 minutes. I can't. And then you put it into this long form factor of like an hour and 20 minutes. I mean, sure, there's a monster and there's supposed to be a mystery, but as you guys were clearly stating, this whole movie, they're just repeating themselves. It's like, all right, here's 5 minutes of mystery. Now here's 20 minutes of racing that does absolutely nothing. And I'm just like, I know it's supposed to be fun, but it's not to me. And this is in my top 5 least favorite Scooby Doo movies, right next to Scooby Doo and Kiss. I know I wasn't on that episode. That was a pass for me. I'll give y'all that right now. And so this is a hard pass for me. Do not ever want to watch this one unless it's my nephew who wants to watch it. That is the only exception that I will watch this movie. And this one is really close to like Monster of Mexico. I didn't like that one either. But it's also really, really close to the Kiss movie, and Arabian Nights, if we ever do Arabian Nights, are like tied for my least favorite Scooby-Doo movies ever.
I mean,
anyway,
I can see where you're coming from with the Kiss, and like you say, we didn't really have a chance to discuss it, but like, oh my gosh, that obviously there's the full episode that people can go and see, but like like that last like 60 seconds literally haunts me.
I know we're not talking about that. I know we're not talking about that movie, but since I wasn't on the episode, I'm gonna hurry and put my 2 cents in. I hate that was such a cop-out movie that they decided to push the envelope so far, but then in the end be like, it was all a dream. And I'm like, you commit or don't. You know, I'm like, be supernatural or don't. And then they just went even further right at the last like 20 seconds and be like, or was it a dream? And I'm like, no, commit to one side. Stop. Anyway, there's my rant for that movie. Since I wasn't on the episode, you guys are probably lucky I wasn't on it.
Well, no, I think
yeah.
maybe
even JayBee said that the Daphne thing at the end was too far, and he's like,
all too far.
Daphne obsessed.
I like Daphne a lot, but I think if I had to watch that again, and I don't know what I can say and keep the video like friendly and stuff, let me word this in a nice way. I believe, hand on heart, if I would be forced to watch that again, I would self-terminate myself. I'm not kidding.
Honestly, though.
To me, that's the
like,
that's
really,
worse. I'd rather watch Mystery Map on repeat 5 times than half of that movie.
Yep.
Yeah, it was awful. Yep. It was like Kiss and Scooby Doo, not Scooby Doo and Kiss. It was all about them having superpowers, being crazy out there. Yeah.
Literally is.
Mystery Map, Kiss, and Speed Demon right now are my bottom 3.
The big 3,
yep.
the little 3.
Okay, so
I guess maybe when we do all the movies, we'll just have a nice episode.
Top
I
3,
don't know,
bottom
where
3.
we reflect on our time together. Maybe do like a definitive ranking list. I don't know, but I'm sure we'll think of something.
Like a tier list.
It's gonna be a sad episode.
It is. But then we can go into the series. Yay!
I don't know what we're doing with the series though.
So JayBee, what is the next movie for next week?
The next movie is Scooby Doo Shaggy's Showdown, which came out in 2017, so it's actually not that long away. You know, it's not long ago.
We're catching up.
But
we are.
I guess we should move on to community news.
Woo!
I have no community news.
I have no community news.
I do.
Hey.
I do.
What is it?
So it was just announced today.
Hey.
Oh, well, we were off the internet today, though, weren't we? So let's hear.
Back in 2019, that was the 50th anniversary of Scooby Doo, and they did this collector's set for the original Scooby Doo Where Are You series, and they released the series for the first time on Blu-ray. Like, they cleaned up the episodes, made them look super bright, colorful, just really, fresh and clean and everything. And they put it in this limited edition, like, Mystery Mansion box set that came with a little Scooby Funko keychain and like a little encyclopedia book and whatever, some goodies and stuff. And anyway, as of now, that is the only way to get Scooby Doo Where Are You on Blu-ray. But it was just announced today that they are finally releasing the series on Blu-ray in a separate set that you don't have to get all the goodies and spend, extra money for the extras if you don't want them. So that's going to release on March 1st of 2022. So if you didn't pick up the original, special limited edition set, or you couldn't find it, then you will be able to get the series on Blu-ray on March 1st.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. I wonder when that'll come to the UK. Not sure, probably not something I keep up with because I think I'm too old for Blu-ray. Although admittedly, I've been looking for the 2002 movie in Blu-ray, but I'm yet to find it. But I will one day.
Okay.
Well, I guess if I'm going to bring up any community news, I suppose we're only about a month away from the Scooby Doo live tour from debuting, or from like opening night of that. So that's exciting. Do you know if you're heading down to one of those, Smash?
I need to look at the dates because originally when, before COVID and everything, they had one, the closest one that was listed was in Denver, Colorado, which isn't too far from where I am. I mean, it's still kind of a drive, but all things considered, it's not too far. And I was gonna head to that one, but now I got to see which, what places and dates they have gotten back and everything. But I definitely want to try. It's just gonna depend on where they're able to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely if there's ever a situation where all of us can see it, I definitely kind of want to do a smash or pass on it. But I don't know when that's going to be possible, or if it's ever coming to the UK, but we'll see. We'll see.
Indeed, so I
That'd
think
be
that
fun.
does it for this week, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is us. This is Smash or Pass. I apologize if I've sounded a bit dead throughout this, but like I think just the vibe. I think it was just the film. I think if I really enjoy Shaggy's Showdown, I'll be all perked up. So I apologize if
That
I
one's
didn't
more
love this
fun.
movie, but if you did love the movie, comment down below because I'd love to hear kind of opposite opinion that's not of ours, because it's always nice to find those kind of ways to debate and discuss things.
Indeed. So like JayBee said, comment below, let us know what you thought of this movie. Of course, Smash is on this video, so Smash, can you tell everyone where they can find you on the internet?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I am just at Ashton Hardy _. And then, of course, on YouTube, I am smASH. So, yeah.
And of course, we'll be continuing this next week, like we say, with Shaggy Showdown. And also, I believe it'll be next week we'll be releasing our Christmas special as well.
I think Christmas Day falls on Saturday.
Oh.
So I think we're going to have I think we're going to have a double Smash or Pass that day. And I didn't count on it. I planned what I pseudo-planned the Christmas episode before I even bothered looking what day Christmas was. So.
I guess, can we say what the Christmas special is?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so for the Christmas special, we are going to be reacting to and talking about is it Scooby Doo Where? Please tell me what it is. I get this wrong.
It's Scooby Doo.
Scooby Doo, Where Are You Now?
Yes. I haven't even written the name down, that sucks. Yeah, Scooby Doo, Where Are You Now? So, that's going to be fun. I guess if you want to hear that, tune in on Christmas.
Woo.
You can listen to it while you're chowing down on some turkey or pigs in blankets or Brussels sprouts, you know what I mean? Like if you're dwelling in the UK, just turn the Queen's Speech off and listen to this instead. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be
there you go.
utmost quality.
Okay, so for all that, please like, comment and subscribe to JayBee and Millie, and of course, smash.
Woo!